All right, welcome everyone. Thank you, Janisha. Thank you all for joining us today. We are so happy you're here. I'm Christine Margiata, pronouns she, her, and I'm with Social Venture Partners Los Angeles, now Social Justice Partners Los Angeles. And we're so grateful to all of you for being here with us today to celebrate. I'm Zooming today from the unceded indigenous land of the Gabrielino Tongva people in what some call Claremont, California. We're thrilled to welcome you to this open house. Our intention today is to introduce you or to reintroduce you to Social Justice Partners Los Angeles. We want to create connection. We want to continue to weave this fabric of folks who care deeply about social justice. And we want to celebrate a big new chapter for this organization. So we'd love to hear your reflections in the chat. Happy to see so many of you introducing yourselves in the chat. Again, please share your name, your pronouns, where you're zooming in from today, and what justice means to you. Any reflections on justice? So seeing so many folks making their way in today, welcome. There are so many people that we love and care about in this room today. I see so many of our nonprofit partners, past and present, our SJP partners, our funders, our course alums, our friends. Thank you all so much for joining us. SJP is all about building a big, vibrant community, and that's why we're all here, for connection, for belonging, and for shared purpose in this work for justice and liberation for everyone in LA. So excited to see you all connecting in the chat, introducing yourselves. I have one more question of the day. This is an SJP tradition, another reflection question for you all. So as we're getting started today, we talk a lot about this concept of belonging at SVP. So we want to ask you to reflect on a time and space where you felt like you belonged. What did that space look like and feel like for you? What does belonging mean to you? So share in the chat, what does belonging mean to you? What does that space look like and feel like as we work to create that together? So for me, belonging is being in something bigger than myself with people that I love. And our staff team recently grew to a team of 9, and we've been talking a lot about how we create a space on our team where we can hold both a space of belonging and a space of liberation, that each person feels like we fully belong and we're fully free. So we want to practice from the inside out what it is that we want to create in community. So I feel so lucky and grateful to feel like I fully belong in this space. And I want to appreciate our SJP staff team, not only for making today possible, but for leading this work that we do so powerfully and so humbly every day. So you'll see all of us with our virtual backgrounds up. That's how you know it's a member of the SJP team. You are witnessing the skillful hands of Janisha, Yolanda, and Michelle as our amazing event producers, Frank as our DJ and our PowerPoint wizard, Teresa, who designed our incredible new website that we'll link to soon and communicated with you all to invite you all today, Allison as the ever-grounding voice in our SJP video, and you'll hear from Sharon and Kelly, our fabulous program leaders, later in the program. So I feel so lucky to belong in this community with our staff team, with our powerhouse members. We're also here, Alina, Casey, Sam, Carolyn, John, Helen, Mark, Amber, Ashley, and with our broader SJP community, with all of you. So I'm just reflecting on some of these chats, appreciating all of you sharing what belonging looks like and feels like to you. Gabby, holding one another with grace and love. Yes. Yeah, being heard, being loved. I really appreciate these reflections. Please do keep them coming, and know that we want SJP to be a place where you feel at home, where you know you belong, and where you know you're doing the good work of creating more justice in our communities. So today you're going to hear from a few of our programs, hear from amazing nonprofit leaders in our community, hear about our journey to become SJPLA, and learn more about how you can be a part of this community. I will hand it to my teammate, Sharon Stratton, who leads our accelerator program, so she can share more about the program and introduce you to our incredible cohort for this year. Thank you all again.
Thank you, Christine. Hi, everyone. So happy to see you all. My name is Sharon Stratton, pronouns she, her, and I'm the Programs and Engagement Manager at SJPLA, still getting used to the new name. So we invest a tremendous amount of resources into crisis management here in LA, while far less attention and funding is given to eradicating and tackling the issues that are causing these problems in the first place. So we asked ourselves at SJP, what would it look like if we could create the space, create a community to invest deeply in tackling the root causes so that we eradicate these problems for good? So that's what we do in our Systems Change Accelerator. We bring together this community. We partner with LA leaders with lived experience of the problems they're addressing. We follow their visions, and we learn along the way how each of us can contribute our power, our resources, and our presence to building just and truly supportive systems here in LA. So over the next 9 months, we have the privilege of partnering with 10 incredible leaders. You are about to meet them now for a very mini pitch style section. So I'm really excited to introduce you all to this incredible cohort of our 10 systems change leaders. I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves and to share with you their bold visions of how LA is going to look different when their work is successful. So to kick us off, I'm going to welcome DeMonte.
Hello, everyone. It's an honor to be here. My name is DeMonte Thompson. I'm the executive director and co-founder of Twinspire, Together We Inspire. If our initiative is successful, youth who are most impacted by the foster care system will be leaders, will be those who are leading the effort to abolish the system itself, to ensure resources flow from government-led institutions to families who are struggling with poverty.
Hi, everyone. My name is Gabriella Vazquez. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a program manager at the advocacy organization La Defensa. If our initiative is successful, Los Angeles will see an end to mass incarceration, and in its place, a reallocation of funds towards capital initiatives led by impacted community members who will determine what resources get built in their communities.
Hello, everyone. I am Elizabeth Emerald, the co-founder and program director of Community Groundwork. Every community college student will have a pathway and network into advocacy and politics to make a significant change. And if our initiative is successful, these students will be civically engaged and be newer, younger, and diverse leaders that are reflective of their communities.
Hi, y'all. I'm Ashley Kishana Washington, co-founder of the Collective for Liberatory Lawyering. Through our work, parents and students marginalized by school pushout and criminalization will have a blueprint for using co-designed and community-led data analysis and narrative change for police-free restorative schools throughout LA County.
Hello, everyone. I'm Eli Akira Kaufman, Executive Director of the Los Angeles County Bicycle Coalition. We will be successful when we have created the conditions that will support the freedom for all Angelenos to ride a bike everywhere we want to go, anytime we need to get there without fearing for our lives. Everyone, everywhere, anytime, safely and with dignity. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Alexis Sines. I'm the founder and executive director of the Los Angeles chapter of the International Indigenous Youth Council. And when we are successful, Indigenous youth will have sovereignty to co-create a sustainable and equitable world for the next 7 generations. Thank you.
Good afternoon, I'm Carmina Calderon. I am a co-founder and senior organizer at the Community Power Collective. And when our initiative succeeds, housing will be approached as a common good in Los Angeles, which will measurably and expeditiously impact the housing affordability and houselessness problem facing Los Angeles today. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Casey Ventura, Director of Land and Tenant Justice at the Beverly Vermont Community Land Trust. When our initiative is successful, Los Angeles will move away from real estate speculation and will become a city of permanent housing affordability through community ownership, centering the needs of long-term residents and stewards of our neighborhoods.
Hello, everyone. I'm Amita Swadin. I am the founder and co-executive director of Mirror Memoirs. We are a national organization working to end carceral interventions against child sexual abuse. And when we are successful, Los Angeles County will divest from prisons, police, and state-led psychiatric institutions, and instead increase funding for survivor services that are led by oppressed communities, especially those led by Black, Indigenous, and of color transgender people. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sierra Smith. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the executive director of Open Paths Counseling Center. And when we are successful with our initiative, every person in Los Angeles will have access to psychotherapy that affirms who they are culturally during their times of need, regardless of their ability to pay.
I'm just loving seeing all of the appreciation and the excitement in the chat for these huge visions that our accelerator cohort leaders are charting. So I would encourage everyone on this call, keep up that energy, keep your eyes on these incredible leaders. We're partnering with them over the next 9 months. And we're so excited that you will get to hear from them in slightly longer form at our virtual fast pitch event in March 2022. So big appreciation to our accelerator cohort. And I'm excited to introduce you to my awesome teammate, Kelly Poole, to tell us a little bit more about the Racial Equity and Homelessness Initiative.
Thanks, Sharon. Welcome, everyone. What a dope group of accelerator leaders. I feel a little embarrassed having to follow them. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. My name's Kelly. I'm the director of our Racial Equity and Homelessness Initiative here at Social Justice Partners, working on that. Through our initiative, we want to do 3 big things. We want to recruit new talent into our sector. We want to equip existing leaders with the lens of racial equity, and we want to change workplace culture by retaining really good workers. And we do that in a couple ways. We just launched a Supporting Frontline Workers grant that will provide direct funding to nonprofits across LA County who have frontline workers who provided daily direct and in-person services to people experiencing homelessness during the earliest days of the pandemic. We host monthly healing justice learning sessions where we have amazing practitioners come in and share their wisdom with our community members. And we've recently launched a monthly healing justice cohort that allows a small group of individuals that work in the housing and homelessness sector to connect with each other, to center their healing, and to spread those practices across their workplace. Behind me or in front of me or in front of you on the screen, you will see a beautiful problem statement graphic. We host a Racial Equity and Homelessness Fellowship. This is our inaugural year, and we've brought together 17 leaders that are right on the precipice of stepping into executive leadership roles, C-suite roles, that are discerning together what it means to build community, what it means to center racial equity, to name the big things, and to do really good work to end housing and homelessness across Los Angeles County. This is their problem statement, and today you're going to meet 2 of them. So we are so grateful to be joined by Dr. Becky Avila. She is the Senior Grants Manager at Safe Place for Youth, and Ronnie Thomas. Ronnie's the Director of Addiction Medicine across the Los Angeles County Department of Health Services. Welcome, Becky and Ronnie. It's good to see you. I was waiting to see your boxes. I'm glad you're here. We don't have a lot of time, but we want to share with our social justice partner community a little bit about what it means to be in community with strangers and to talk about such intense things as you met each other as fellows, as you connected, and as you really put forth the vision of what it means to tackle some really big problems here in Los Angeles. Becky, tell us what it felt like in this process to create something so powerful, again, with a group of folks who you didn't know.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Becky Avila. I use she, her, and aya pronouns. So thank you for that question, Kelly. It felt hopeful and not like working with strangers at all, actually. The work in homeless services and the subsets of that work, advancing racial justice in nonprofit leadership, the workplace, philanthropic giving, can feel overwhelming, as we all know, and at times very lonely. There aren't a lot of designated spaces, time, or resources for leaders of color to thought partner or to stop and assess the problem. the root causes of homelessness as an example. And in turn, there is limited time, space, and resources for us to problem solve in meaningful and sustainable ways with fellow leaders. But stepping into this space with the REI fellows, who are fellow champions of this all-encompassing work and who also bring with them varied lenses of lived experience and who are all hungry for change, it felt like working with an authentic tribe of people committed to the same work, who were bringing the same experiences with such nuance though as well. It felt like family. It still feels like family, and very much to what Christine, I think, was opening the session with about the sense of belonging and just it clicking all into place. It was a genuine sense of something being bigger than yourself, but of yourself as well. So what we produced in this process then is the roadmap. I do look at our problem statement as that, a unified roadmap for abolishing old systems of oppression to create something rooted in equity. So for something so heavy, it was actually very inspiring and therapeutic. So it didn't feel like working with strangers at all. I think we're all very close now.
Good. And on the other side of your 10-month journey together, so the fellows are hanging out together for 10 months, building community. What's your greatest hope? What do you want to see when this is over, or this has transitioned? It will never be over.
That's a really exciting question. Well, I just kind of, I want to hang out with them all first and foremost. It's been hard to do this virtually, but I really hope that there's more collaboration as the years go on and more learning from each other, more mentorship. I can't say that I've ever really had a lot of mentors of color in this field. And now I feel like I've gained just, a whole cohort of them. So that's my hope, is that we continue to do work together.
Awesome. Thanks, Dr. Becky, for being with us.
I'm back.
Oh, there you are. All right. Tells us all.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And I just want to say good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ronnie Thomas, and I'm a Racial Equity Fellow, Initiative Fellow with Social Justice Partners LA. Today, as we celebrate a new beginning, we must actively reconcile with the past indiscretions in hopes to achieve a better future. As a BIPOC fellowship with lived experience of oppression, were the foundations in which we began this process. Homelessness is the latest legacy of systemic racism and oppression for Black, Indigenous, people of color. These 17 distinguished fellows understood this concept and articulated and defined it in a statement that was encompassing with the historical legacy, modern day marginalization, and the societal factors that have allowed homelessness to grow and thrive within our community. And so that was the process in developing our problem statement.
Thanks, Ronnie. Thanks for sharing that. Such good words. To our SJP community, we hope that you continue to follow the work of the initiative, the work of the fellows. Shout out to so many of our other fellows that are here and not on screen. We're seeing Sean and Cortez and probably a lot of others, but I'm not looking at the full screen. And check them out. There's a link in the chat to their bios. And Ronnie and Becky, thanks for being with us today. It's good to see you. I'll pass the virtual mic back to our Executive Director, Christine Margiata.
All right. Thank you so much, Kelly, Dr. Becky, Ronnie. I have been so inspired by your leadership, by all of the fellows, just speaking the truth, just from day one of the fellowship and putting that out to the sector. I already see the ripple effects to the sector and can't wait for what's ahead. All right, so we've talked about two of our programs that support incredible nonprofit leaders advancing social justice. We also have opportunities in SJP for anyone who's interested in connecting, learning, contributing to the work of social justice. We think of ourselves as this community of lifelong learners. We are always learning and growing together. And this year, we were so proud to offer a course on Black Power with Dr. Melina Abdullah, a series of abolition spotlights, opportunities to get to know our accelerator cohort, and our course called Anti-Racism for White People. So this course is a year-long journey. This year we have 140 folks from all sectors, all professions, who are coming together for a full year to learn together about how to recognize and counter racism in ourselves and in the world around us. So I'm really happy to introduce Marta Farrow. She's been a longtime SJP partner, and she was a participant in our very first cohort 3 years back of anti-racism for white people. She'll share a bit about her experience. Welcome, Marta.
Thank you so much. Thanks for that introduction. And yes, I was part of the first cohort. My pronouns are she and her, and I've been a partner for almost 12 years, and I've been involved for over 15 years, including working with a grantee organization a long time ago. So Christine just asked me to share for a couple of minutes what the impact of the course was on me. And for me, it was really important as it helped to deepen my work in this space. I feel like I started the work in earnest in high school and college, and I won't go into that now, but I do feel like I've been aware and self-aware and aware of systemic issues. But this course really just pulled it all together for me, codified it in a lot of ways. And part of that was the breadth and depth of resources. And equally strong was Christine's leadership and facilitation of the course, but really alongside all of the other teachers and speakers and colleagues who were in this experience together. And I really admired how Christine and everyone else shared the microphone, so to speak, and really, it was about the group experience, and it was about bringing a lot of different voices together. I still reference this large library of resources that was really thoughtfully curated and shared, and I've been able to share them with so many others, including the affinity group work that I've done at my son's school and with our school's leadership, and just others who are really passionate about the work. And I know that that's been incredibly appreciated, including connecting Christine and others at SJP with some other folks. So I think the opportunity for me was just to share lived experiences, to be able to open up in a safe space, role play, and also just really just get into the nitty gritty of discussing and feeling the intricacies and levels of racism. And that to me was what was very meaningful and educational. We also went on a trip to Montgomery, Alabama to visit the Equal Justice Initiative, EJI, and that was really profound. I think just taking the few days out of our busy lives and also doing it as a group made it extra special. And experiencing the museum and the memorial was just, words can't express that. I think it's really something that everyone should do at some point in person. And then for me, walking the streets alone in Montgomery after experiencing a lot of different sites and places was really touched me significantly. I think just the energy in the place was profound. And again, just connecting with that group, which was different from our affinity group, was quite special. And I'll just note that our affinity group was about 40 people. So I think in size, it was a little bit more intimate, and we met a lot in person, which was great. So I've stayed in touch with several of the members who I didn't know before the trip. And I think really continuing to build this community has been important to my ongoing anti-racism learning and practices. So I'll just end it with a biggest takeaway, which is how the awareness and education I've experienced has helped me become an even better mother. And it's really rippled through to my son. I'm not going to take all the credit, but the other day he started talking to me while we were driving to school about youth incarceration, which I didn't necessarily expect to have that conversation with him. And he explained that it just doesn't make sense for kids to feel scared and unsafe and locked up when what they need is emotional support and love and not just simply punishment. I'm paraphrasing him, but his message was incredible, and just like the depth of his feeling around it. And it was a beautiful moment to hear that he on his own believes in human and social justice. And I do feel like part of that reason is likely the anti-racist conversations that he has had and has been exposed to, and the diverse perspectives and people he has met and become friends with on his journey, including some of my friends that I've made through SJP and through specifically that trip to EJI. He he has friends who have been incarcerated and has had great conversations with them, et cetera. And so I think that's where his message is coming from. So I'll end on that note, but thanks for having me speak. And I'm happy to be a resource to anyone who's interested in the course or wants to follow up in conversation if you're doing it or have done it in the past. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Marta. Really grateful to you for sharing and just for the humility and the commitment to that ongoing learning journey that you have always demonstrated and continue to. So with that, then we'll just say our 2022 anti-racism course for white people is launching now. There's a link in the chat if you're interested in registering. Signing up for the course, it's a twofer. You have the chance to learn in community, and all of the contributions from the course are dedicated directly to the grants and programs that you learned about today. All right, so many ways to get involved with SJP. We've been talking through many of those today. And as context for one of the big opportunities to engage with us, I want to share a little bit about our journey as an organization. So this moment of becoming Social Justice Partners LA is a really big one for us, not just because we get a great new logo and name, but it represents the culmination of about 5 years of really intentional reflection and alignment for us. So about 5 years ago, we recognized that we could be meaningful contributors to the work of racial and social justice. We saw incredible movements and efforts happening in the community, and we wanted to be a support in any way that we could. I remember talking with our early small team, Sharon and Allison, and saying, "Man, we wish our name were Social Justice Partners," but we knew that that name wasn't true of who we were at the time. It was aspirational. So instead, we set out to live the values of that name and worry about the name itself later. So to do the work, we wanted to start within. We believe very much that social justice is a journey. It's a process as much as it is a destination. So we know that that work has to be an inside job. We set out to align our entire organization, everything we do, with the values of social justice. It became and still is the lens for every single decision we make, from where we located our offices, who we hire, who we invited to our board, what vendor we order lunch from. We also create team agreements internally that intentionally dial up the antidotes to white supremacy culture, have a commitment to pay our team a living wage, and actively build in time for rest, for quiet, for reflection into our work together. We also look to align all of our programs with these values, centering leaders with lived experience as the central wisdom that we're investing in through our programs, aligning our values and how those programs function. A few years back, we shifted our application processes to hands-on workshops rather than written applications. Many of you may have noticed we shifted our fast pitch from a competition to a collaborative celebration. And every day we aim to build spaces of peer learning, of appreciation, and of this ongoing journey. So we will keep learning every single day on how we can continue to align with these values. So you'll see up on the screen this journey to justice. You'll see our new logo, very much thanks to the team at Ocean and Mountain and Teresa on our team for ushering us through this process. And to everyone in this community, the 185 folks on this call today, our staff, our board, our partners, this has been a co-learning journey. We have created this beautiful new organization and community together. And I'm just so grateful and humbled by all of the learning we've had along the way. So you'll see on the screen this shift, these reflections we're making on the ways that the nonprofit community, the philanthropic community can really align our functioning with these values of justice around collaboration, collectivism, lived experience. You'll see all the way down, this is what we strive to live every single day. So last year, we began to reflect about who we are and where we've been. We reflected on our name of Social Venture Partners and realized that we had done the inner work of shifting from that venture frame to a justice frame. So we knew that we were finally ready to become Social Justice Partners Los Angeles. So today is a bit of a coming out for us collectively. We feel this name now aligns with who we are on the inside and that we can speak that into the world, knowing that this is a never-ending journey for us and that this is something we strive to embody every day. So we want to invite each of you to join us in this work. We'd love for you to officially join us as a partner or in any other way you feel called to be a part of this. Now we'll share a video that highlights a bit more about SJP, and you can see that new logo in its full screen glory.
Everything we do is about community. At Social Justice Partners Los Angeles, we build lasting relationships, and we bridge the power gap to create a more just and loving Los Angeles. We connect nonprofit leaders and caring community members who work together to combat racism, economic injustice, and systemic oppression in all its forms. We support efforts to end mass incarceration, homelessness, environmental harm, and so much more. We believe in working towards fostering communities that support the well-being and freedom for all. Partnering with SJPLA means taking the time to hear one another's stories and learn the truths of systemic injustice. It's about building an intersectional community and using our individual and collective power to liberate all people. It's about reimagining a future where all people, especially those who our systems have harmed, are seen, supported, and have the resources they need to not just survive, but to feel free. This is your invitation to show up and be a part of a collective vision. If you've been looking for a way to connect, to learn, to contribute to what you know our city and our world could look like, this community is for you. To find out how you can partner with us, visit sjpla.org. We all have a role to play in this path towards freedom and systemic transformation. At SJPLA, we're here to roll up our sleeves and do the work right alongside you.
I'm going to transition to my teammate Sharon Stratton, who will talk more about opportunities to get involved.
Thank you, Christine. I was getting really caught up in the chat, and I just want to take a moment to appreciate that and the story and the sort of journey that we've been on. So I heard earlier in the call folks talk about this hunger for change. And I suspect that is why many of you are here today with us. You are curious, you are eager, you are hungry to be a part of a community where we can work towards this change together. So I just want to share that I've had the privilege of making relationships at SJP that have changed my life. They've helped me to see more clearly where injustice lies. And they've given me hope as I've met people charting paths towards an LA where we all have what we need, where we all feel like we belong. I am excited to introduce you to one of those incredible people, Sam Prater, the co-founder and executive director of Los Angeles Room and Board, and SJPLA board member. Sam is a force of joy for those of you who haven't had the privilege of meeting him yet, and is just doing such incredible work to ensure that college students have housing and all the supports they need to succeed. So I feel so grateful, Sam, to call you an SJP partner and friend. Welcome, and thank you for being with us to tell us a little more about partnership.
Oh my God, thank you so much, Sharon. Thank you to the SJPLA family. I'm so thrilled to be here and to see that there are 190 other people in the space. Listen, they gave me 3 minutes to talk, and I was born and raised in church. So, that 3 minutes can turn to 30 minutes real quick. So I'll try to So somebody please, yank, cut my mic and, at the point where my 3 minutes is up. But everything that I wanted to say has been said. So much. I'll just kind of start here. When I moved to California 8 years ago, I came right from New York after being there for 5 years, and then 2 years in Pennsylvania, and then my hometown of Detroit, Michigan. And so, I worked in higher ed, worked in the student housing and residence life, where I lived and worked in the same place, right? And so my community, I had instant community with the folks that lived on campus with me, and conversations about social justice, about equity, about diversity, inclusion, et cetera, were just a mainstay, right, of the culture in higher ed. And so when I got promoted and then ended up moving off campus in 2018, I moved into LA, this incredibly large community, and I did not have that instant community of folks that I could journey through life with. And for a while, I felt a little bit like lost, I would leave work and just go right home. And I'm like, well, this is what life is when you're not living on campus and living in the dorms. And so, it was pretty rough, right? And as a transplant to LA, I think that what makes the experience more enriched, right? What makes it worth living is when you can travel and journey through this experience with a tribe of folks who get you, right? Who understand your worldview, who, again, may be diverse in terms of background, geography, perspective, but, you still feel the same way about justice. And so I was delighted when I learned and came into this community in 2019, which was then Social Venture Partners LA. And my life has been changed ever since, right? And so now I have a place, right? I feel like I found my people, and every issue that you can imagine, and they've all been covered here, from homelessness, hunger, poverty, foster youth, domestic violence. I mean, everything that plagues our nation, everything that plagues our city, folks are like actively working to solve it. And that gave me so much life. It fueled me. It gave me a sense of purpose, and honestly made LA feel like home, finally, to me, when I met the folks at SJPLA. And so I feel incredibly grateful. And then one thing I want to sort of note is that these were also the folks that inspired me. So they invested into the things that I cared about, which was community college homelessness, right? And so the folks that are on this call right now, Sarah Coulter, I'm going to call you out, was made the first donation to my nonprofit, and saw us go from her first donation to now we've raised upwards of $1 million this year. And so, it's because of the folks like Melissa Jones, who not only became a donor, but became a friend, and we get to sort of break bread on the weekends and walk through the Descanso Gardens, right, on the weekends. So these are folks that are not only supporting you in your journey to sort of make LA a great place to live, but also who are trying to build community with you and build friendships and relationships. And so these are people from all walks of life, all industries, that are together because they care. Right. Another thing that I think is really, really magical about this community is that, you watch the news and you read the newspaper and you're like, oh my God, this is an issue in our city. Who's working on this? Right? Who's going to do something about this particular issue? And now that I'm a part of the SJPLA family, I can say, oh, wow, there's an issue happening in the criminal justice system. I can easily call Taina at Initiate Justice or Sam Lewis at ARC to say, what's happening about this issue and how can I become more involved? Right? Or if there's an issue about transit, I can call Laura Raymond from ACT-LA and say, Lauren, what's up with the Metro and how can we make it more accessible and how can we democratize it? And so I feel incredibly blessed to be a part of this incredible community. And so if this is your first time interacting with Social Justice Partner LA, do me a favor, go into the chat real quick and just type 2 letters for me, ME. If this is your first time interacting with SJPLA, type in me in the community. So we want to see who you are. We want to see who all of our new family is, right? Oh, wow. Wow. Your first time with our community. Listen, you are in for a treat. I guarantee you, and I promise you that after this call, there'll be some outreach to you. And then this will be your new community, right? Or an expansion of a community if you're already plugged into LA. So welcome. We're thrilled to have you. And I invite you, right, to partner with us to do this work, right? You saw so many incredible cohort members that are working on a range of issues, and we're excited to sort of support them in this work. And so if you're looking for a way to get involved after work, on weekends, if you're looking for a way to sort of like work out your passion, to be educated about issues, this is the family for you, and I invite you to join us. All right, I think my mic is getting ready to get cut. Thank you so much, SJPLA, for this opportunity.
Sam, you're awesome. I wish you could just have the stage for the rest of the event. Yeah, thank you so much, Sam. You just highlighted some really, really important aspects of the SJP spirit and community. It's that sense of interconnection. I am a transplant as well. I was born and raised in Australia, and ironically, I've never felt more at home as I do in SJP and in LA. And Sam, as you highlighted, there are these big, big systemic issues. They're deeply interconnected, whether it's transportation, whether it's mass incarceration, whether it's the family regulation system. The work to reimagine these systems is really complex, and it can't be done alone. It can't be the burden of any individual person or any individual nonprofit initiative. It's why relationships and community are so central to what we do. And it's why we need new partners to come along with us on this journey. So I'm so happy to see so many first-time folks who are just meeting us for the very first time. And so I wanted to share a little bit about what it means to be an SJPLA partner. And so the first thing I'll share is anyone can become an SJP partner. So every single one of you on this call, we would love for you to be a part of this community. We just ask that to become a partner, you share in our values. We're working collectively towards racial and social justice. You come curious and eager to learn from each other, to learn from the wisdom of folks who are most impacted by the issues that they're tackling. And we ask that you make a personally significant contribution. So what that means is you determine how much you can give. That can be an annual gift, that can be a monthly reoccurring, and it should be an amount that you can sustain and even look to grow in the future, in the long term. So joining us as a partner means you're offering your resources, your skills, your relationships, and your heart for social justice, and walking in community with the inspiring people that you've met on this call. So our incredible cohort of accelerator leaders, our racial equity fellows, our staff team, Sam, Marta, and so many more who I can see in the chat box and who I can see in gallery view. So you've heard from some of us, and I'm really excited to introduce a couple more of our wonderful partners. I'd like to welcome Jennifer Appion and Wei Ting Chen. I think we're going to get a spotlight going, and maybe we can bring Sam back up on the spotlight just so we can get some of our awesome partner faces up here. So I'm going to invite everyone on this call just to take a moment and think about any questions that you have about SJP partnership. So you've gotten a pretty rich cross-section of the SJP community. What questions do you have about becoming an SJP partner or what the experience is like? So drop your questions into the chat. And while we are giving you a moment to do that, I'm going to invite Wei Ting, our awesome partner, Wei Ting Chen, to share with us, why did you join SVP and what keeps you here?
Well, hi, everybody. I think it's really nice to see a lot of familiar names and some new ones. So I've been a partner since the beginning. I was part of, I think, the group that started to identify a need or an opportunity in Southern California for a model like SVP back then. And it's been a really an incredible journey. I think one of the things that attracted me, well, I'm not going to go through the whole history of it, but I will say I've been involved with SVP, SJP since the beginning. And I think one of the most amazing things about it is how enduring my support continues to be for this network and this community. It's evolved tremendously. I've been really excited about the changes that we keep making year over year and phase over phase. And I guess two things I would say about what attracted me to it and what keeps me here is that it is a growing and learning organization. We continue to evolve and be more clear about what we want to do, how we go about doing it. And with Christine's leadership, it's been like pretty amazing to see where we're going. and be part of that. And then the second piece of it is that, over the, I don't know, 15 years now, more so of SVP, I have had a lot of life changes myself, and have been able to actually find a place for me in this community and network, whether I was fully in and engaged, whether I was like dealing with 2 young babies and couldn't even join phone calls. But I just continue to find ways to get involved, and in ways that I was able to at that phase of my life. And so I feel like this is a community I've invested in over time, and it keeps giving back to me in these opportunities.
Thank you, Wei Ting. And it's just so cool to reflect on how enduring your partnership has been. 15 years. We're just so lucky that you're with us and that you are sticking with us. And I see a question in the chat about, are we open to being introduced to partners who we may not have awareness of at the moment? Yes, we each have different perspectives. We all come from different walks of life. And so everyone on this call, we would love to meet you, and we would love for you to introduce us to partners that we may not sort of have an awareness of. So yes, thank you for that question, RD. All right, as the questions come in, I might invite Jennifer to share with us what has been the most meaningful aspect of partnership for you? If there are like 1 or 2 sort of tangible ways that you've engaged that sit with you as the most powerful and meaningful aspects of your partnership, love if you could share.
Yeah, well, I mean, it kind of ties into how I was first introduced to formerly SVPLA, now SJPLA, was as a fast pitch coach, coaching just incredible nonprofit leaders, doing the amazing social justice change, systems change work here in Los Angeles. And there's a couple things that are super meaningful. One, the opportunity to continue to support these incredible leaders doing super important, impactful work through coaching. And I do coach a number of the nonprofit leaders that have come to me through SJPLA, and it's an honor to support them with coaching. But also another personally meaningful aspect is just the family that is SJPLA. I mean, we've used the word community, but it really feels like a family, and a family in the sense that we're intentional and mindful about how we hold the space with each other. I mean, a healthy family, let me qualify it. It's a healthy family. It's the kind of family you want to be a part of. And there's humor, and there's lightness, and there's heart, and integrity. And I love the lived values that we espouse as a family, because that's super important to me, is to kind of be in integrity and how I walk and show up in the world, and to be part of a group that espouses similar way of being and doing in the world is really important to me. So that's really meaningful. So I did not stay with the guidelines of one thing. There's so many, but those are a few. So thank you.
Can I add something to that? I totally agree. And I would say that, we're in a society that is so increasingly like divisive and talking a lot about what we're not with each other, how different we are, the things that we don't agree on. And I think one of the things I so appreciate about being in the space here with SJP is that we talk about, we can acknowledge and recognize the differences, but we talk about what we are and what we're trying to do. It's a positive outlook, and it's really healthy for my mental health, frankly, to be able to be in this space where we look at problems and we're tapping each other's like perspectives and experiences to come up with useful solutions or helpful ideas, as opposed to a lot of the rhetoric out there where it's just about like we judge and being negative about who we are not or what we are not doing.
Agreed.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Thank you, Jennifer and Wei Ting. I saw a great question in the chat about how do you determine how much to give? Is there some kind of guide on, is it 1 to 3% of discretionary income? So this is actually a question that I am going to toss back to our awesome partners with a little bit of context for our guests. So if it wasn't super clear already, we're unveiling a new sort of model when it comes to joining us as a partner. Previously, as SVP, we had a minimum give of $2,500 a year. What we are saying now is we want you to decide what you can give. What is personally significant? So Calvin, I'm not sure if that answers your question with concrete numbers, but I might just toss it to Jennifer, Waiting, Sam. How do you decide what is a personally significant give?
I think about, for me, the impact of what I want my gift to be, right? And so when you think about all the incredible sort of programming that happens through SJPLA, right? The anti-racism for white folks, the accelerator cohort, which I had the awesome privilege of being a part of. It was a 2-year cohort when I was in it, and so I feel like one of the lucky ones. But think about all the other programming that happens. When I think about, and then the community that this organization sort of facilitates. So I kind of gave that, in a way that was equal to what the organization gives, right? I know that it costs sort of money and resources to sort of like provide all this incredible programming. And so I made a gift that was commensurate to what I could afford, and also that matched the impact of what I felt like the organization was making, right? And so that could be any number for anybody. It could be $25 a month. It could be $50,000, right? It could, whatever feels right for you. But also, keeping in mind, like, what this organization gives and what this organization sort of facilitates, sort of drove why I gave the amount that I gave. And so I would invite you also to just be thinking about the impact of your gift, right? And also think about what's again, I'm not want to count anybody's pockets, but think about what you can afford, and think about if it's a smaller amount, then think about how you can do that, on a recurring basis, right? But I think that, as you become a partnership, become part of the partnership, you'll see all the ways in which your gift is going to pay dividends for LA, for the folks who are involved in this community, and for the issues that you're championing. So I'll leave it at that.
I'll say that I give what partners have historically been asked to give, and while we've changed up the strategy or the structure, it hasn't changed the way or the amount that I give. I continue to give, and I will continue to give.
Yeah, I would echo that. And I love, by the way, the shift to sort of just an open-ended to whatever you can give, because again, totally aligned with who we are as an organization. It's not about, setting, it has to be minimum this or that, because the point is, if folks can give more and they want to give more, then great. And if you can only give a little bit, then you give what you can. Yeah, Sam.
Yeah, Jennifer, to that point too, I want to kind of also underscore this point. It's not just about giving. So yes, we need resources, right? And I'm saying that as a board member, as a partner, but also we need your talent and your gifts and your time, right? And so if you are an incredible professional without respect to what industry you are in, you can give that as well, right? And so we don't want just your money, right? We want you to bring your entire self to this community. So all the things your expertise, your love, your kindness, your generosity, bring all of that with you, right, to this community, because that is what the community really is about. It's about the people, right? But we need your resources too, but bring all of who you are, right? And that's equal to, so if you're a dope accountant, or if you're a dope consultant or strategist or communicator, whatever it is, bring that, and that is your gift.
Yeah, thank you, Jennifer, Waiting, and Sam. I feel like you so beautifully highlight that becoming an SJP partner is a bit of a choose your own adventure. As you all have seen, and David, I really appreciate the question in the chat box. What does it mean beyond a financial contribution? So I will speak very, very briefly to that, and I will encourage anyone who's interested to sign up for our partner information sessions. So in mid-November, we're going to hold some sessions where you can come and talk to the staff, meet some of our partners in a little more depth, and we can talk more about what partnership is. But just high level, throughout the year, we provide opportunities for you to be a learner, for you to bring your skills to support some of the leaders that you've seen today, to be in community. So being a partner is a bit of a choose your own adventure depending on your own availability, the aspects of our partnership and our community that appeal to you. But yes, it goes far beyond the financial contribution, while that is important. Okay, well, I just want to thank Jennifer, Wei Ting, and Sam again for your generosity of presence and being here with us today, but also in our community more broadly. And I am going to pass over to my teammate to close us out.
All right, yeah, this is Frank. I'm a new team member here at SJP, and I just wanted to say thank you for joining us today at the SJP's open house event. We want to give a special thanks to the following people that made this event possible. First of all, to the SJP team and board, our partners and funders. Thank you to Ocean and Mountain and our designer for helping us support us through the rebrand process. And lastly, to the interpreters at Pro Bono ASL and Live Captioner. Thank you for making this event possible and also accessible to our audience. Thank you again for joining us and have a great rest of your week. Appreciate y'all.